Hello! Welcome to White Door Tarot, where the reader is bubbly, but the readings can get dark. So today I am going to be working on the October 1st half readings for all of the zodiac signs. And I'm going to be changing out the format a little bit because I feel like the videos just dragged on a little too long when I did the animal oracles and then the love and then the work and then the shadow work. And instead I'm just going to do general, and we'll see where the focus is, because that way it'll pull probably the most prominent part of your life right now anyway. So I'm going to get started with Aries, the baby of the zodiac. Okay. The Fool, which is about taking a leap of faith. The Sun, Three of Pentacles, ultimate happiness and planning or collaboration. Whoa, Ace of Cups, an offer. Cups usually indicates love, but it also just indicates matters of the heart. The Moon, okay. Six of Wands, Nine of Cups, or Seven of Wands, sorry. Seven of Wands is my light in the dark card. And here we've also got the Son of Pentacles, Mother of Cups, and the Devil. We were having such good vibes. Such good vibes. Okay. One more, actually. Clarify the Devil for me. The Emperor. Oh. Okay. Okay. The Emperor is the card of Aries in the deck. I have a comment on that about kings and the energy of kings in tarot and just all this stuff in general. Anyway, okay. So this feels like starts off with the Moon and the Son of Pentacles, then the Seven of Wands, and then the Three of Pentacles, and then the Fool, and then the Mother of Cups, along with the Ace of Cups. Overarching energy is the Devil versus the Emperor, and also the Nine of Cups connects to this, and end result, I'll just put it right here, the Sun. Is that all in shot? That's all in shot. Okay. Okay. And I also would like to start incorporating my pendulum in these readings. So we will ask her, do you have a keyword for us? L, E, M, O, N. Lemon. So take that how it resonates, but the keyword is apparently lemon. Check him out, my little pixie frog. How you doing? How you doing? Who's your good boy? Who's your good boy? Okay. Anyway. Okay, into the spread. I would also like to go ahead and pull an archetype card. The offering, interesting considering that we have the Ace of Cups here. Let's start there. The gift, the present, the sacrifice. Unlike many of the other cards in the deck, the offering carries a clear as day message and a call to action. As you may have guessed, it is time for something to be given and given up for the sake of the bigger picture. If nothing comes to mind immediately, though it's likely it will, take time in meditation to consider what must be offered and who is to receive it. It's likely you'll feel attachment and hesitancy. You'll make excuses, but recognize the link between the word sacrifice and the word sacred. One leads to the other. When we offer up something to the greater good, we lighten our load and become more able to serve. Imagine for a moment if you were to offer your whole self unconditionally to the world. For now, start small. When light, generosity, donation, volunteering. When dark, giving with expectations, keeping track. If there is a gift you've been thinking of giving someone special, now is the time. And once a week, Gandhi gave up speaking for a day, offering himself to divine silence. The offering can come in all shapes and sizes. Okay, so that makes sense with the Ace of Cups being here. Starting out with the Moon and the Son of Pentacles. The Son of Pentacles is a Pentacles card, which is the realm of material and stability, things like that. The Moon is the subconscious, and it is also kind of a call to pay attention, to pay closer attention to anything that could be hidden in your subconscious. It's about digging, and it's about doing the inner work. It's about wandering around the woods in your own psyche and trying to find what's hidden in there. Um, just imagine you're wandering around the woods, you're paying attention, you're watching out for predators, things like that. That's the process that's going on inside of you, basically. And then with the Seven of Wands, this feels like enlightenment. This feels like coming out of that mode or starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Going back to the Son of Pentacles, he is a more reserved character, shy, not many friends. That probably resonates more to your mode of being. And after the Seven of Cups or Seven of Wands, though, we have the Three of Pentacles, and that's more strategy. That's more planning. That's more, okay, I found these things in my psyche. Now, what do I do about this newfound information, and how do I put it into action or practice or what have you? This is also about collaboration, so it could also indicate an increased yearning for connection, is what comes to mind, especially with the Son of Pentacles being here in the beginning. The Fool is about taking a leap of faith, a leap starting with your face. The Fool is about taking a leap of faith, and although he doesn't, I know he's called the Fool, but usually the Fool is depicted with like a feather in his hat. And that is about, when you get another feather in your hat, like you learn something. So the Fool is card number 0. Um, and that it's a new beginning. It's a brand new beginning. It's a brand new leap of faith, but coming from a place of wisdom from the last round, if that makes sense. It's like you learned something and now you're taking that and jumping off a cliff. Not literally, just you're taking the leap of faith, but not from a place of just tossing a coin to figure out what you want to do. It's just that brave step forward to something new that you want and that you want. Um and that you've actually studied up for, according to the Three of Pentacles right before it, and also the full story of the Fool card. Mother of Cups, Ace of Cups, Nine of Cups. This feels like something that is related to matters of the heart. Whether this be a new business venture that you believe in, or a new goal for your life, or a person, whatever it might be. It's something that comes from the heart. And I am a firm believer that yes, our mind, our heart, our body, our soul should all work in unison, but well, as well as their intuition, but I guess that's our soul talking. But anyway, but I do believe that your heart never steers you wrong. I was actually telling a friend the other day that when I was in school, I grew up going to a very, very Christian school. Like we prayed in the mornings and what have yous. They were very heavy on the teaching about God stuff. And I was there, I think, about until like the beginning of third grade, and then I transferred to a Japanese school, which is a little more secular. Um, but the, I can't remember what we were doing. I just know that it had something to do with rescuing an animal of some sort, whether it be a bug or a bird or something of the sort. And sorry about that. My Roomba busted into my reptile room to fuck shit up. So anyway, what was I talking about? Right. So I can't remember what we were doing. We were saving an animal or something like that. It was just me and another boy in my class. And I remember we were supposed to be in class, but I was like, but this thing, we need to save this thing. And the boy was like, but we're going to get in trouble. We shouldn't be doing this. It's bad because we're going to get in trouble. And I was like, wait, like, your idea of good and bad is like whether or not we get in trouble. Like you do good stuff so that you get reward, and when you do bad stuff, you don't do bad stuff because punishment. Like that's how you navigate things. And he was like, well, yeah. And I was like, what? And he was like, what? And I was like, well, don't you have that thing like in your chest that kind of squishes when you do something bad, and then it like expands when you do something good? Like, don't you just feel it when you're doing the right thing versus the wrong thing? And he was like, what? And I was like, what? Like, he didn't know what I was talking about, and I didn't know what I was talking about. It's just a thing that I thought that everybody had. I grew up to realize that that was a conscience, but that's kind of how I always navigated stuff. Like, even if it gets me in trouble, like when my heart is telling me you're doing the right thing, and then somebody's like, no, bad, stop doing that, it's bad. I'm just like, fuck you. No, it's not, because my heart is saying that it's not. My heart is telling me that I'm doing the right thing, and versus like when I even try to do something bad, like it hurts me. Like I can't even squish a bug without feeling an ache. Like that's how I operate. And I just always followed this because this is the thing that tells me when I'm going the right way versus the wrong way. Anyway, that was a whole ass tangent. What I'm saying is, it looks like that is what you're starting to follow. You're starting to follow your heart, because there's a lot of cups energy after the Fool. And you know what? The end result being the Sun tells me that it's going to lead you the right way. Whatever it is that your heart is reaching for right now, it's the right way to go. The offering, that compels me to talk about something that I say a lot, actually, is that we can't choose whether or not we suffer, but we can always choose what we suffer for. And that can be applied in many areas of life. We go to our 9 to 5, we wake up to an alarm clock, and we show up, we stay there for 8-ish hours or however long your shifts are. And then we go home and we do other stuff. And, there are people who put a lot of emphasis on where they work or what they do for a living. And that is, like their main thing in life. And that's totally valid. I totally understand like a career path or, a job being your purpose. But then there are also other people that go to their 9 to 5 just so that they can fund their other passions, or so that they can support their family, which is their purpose, et cetera, et cetera. But basically, what I'm saying is the offering, we always have to give up something to get something that is more important to us. And it's a matter of figuring out, I'm not even saying like quit your job and go do something that's more worthwhile. I'm saying, try to reframe it a little bit in your mind, as in, what do you go to work for? What do you give up and what do you get in return? If you're going to give up the same 8 hours in a day, are you satisfied with what you're giving your 8 hours to? And are you satisfied with what you get in return for it? Because I remember having this thought where I was like, it's easy to say work sucks, because I mean, of course, we'd all rather just be eating grapes in the nude on the beach or something, but when you reframe it to yourself, like, I'm working so that I can get X amount of dollars so that I can fund this other thing that I really care about, it gets a little bit easier to get through your day. Uh, what's the better way to say this? Basically, don't go on autopilot. Get out of autopilot and really rethink what you invest in and what you get in return and why you're doing what you do. Because it's often when we stop to think about these things that we find, either that we are completely satisfied with our lives, we just needed to think about it differently, or we gotta get out and do something else. And I feel like that's what this is. I actually had just posted, and follow me on Facebook, by the way. I have a Facebook page, White Door Tarot. You can find me there. I do post a lot of random insights or, little snippets of my life. But I posted about Saturn returns and Saturn opposite transits. So I think it was around the ages 27 to 30 is when you get your first Saturn return. And then around the age of 44 to 45 is when you get your Saturn opposite transit. And the Saturn opposition is when Saturn goes into the exact opposite, opposes your Saturn placement in your natal chart. Um, and basically, a Saturn return is kind of like a tower card. It's where Saturn comes in exactly where it was when you were born, and it shakes up the foundation of your life and goes, hey, what have you been doing with your life for the last 27-ish years? What have you been building for yourself? And are you truly satisfied with where you are? Are you going the right way? Let's shake everything up, see what falls away, and see what sticks. The last time I had a Saturn return was actually dead smack when I almost died from my illness. And what did stick were the friendships that I have formed in my life. They were actually exactly what got me through it. I lost my job of 7 years that I stuck with while getting ulcers from stress. I hated it, but I stuck with it. And I was an overworker. Like, I worked myself to the bone, and that was my identity. I work hard and make money. That's what I do. That's how I was. And I lost my job during that first Saturn return. And then I also struggled with vulnerability. I also struggled with letting people in. I struggled with letting people help me. I struggled with asking for help. And that is exactly when I got put to the test, because I struggled with being vulnerable, but being on your deathbed makes you very vulnerable. And I had to surrender to the friends that I've made, forcing their ways in to help me. That was what that period of time was about. And I am going to be facing my Saturn opposition transit, here in another 12-ish years. But by that point, I'm hoping to get a little further along in my life, closer to what I ended up figuring out was the purpose of the first one, and I'm not saying that you're going through, I mean, you might be going through something like that right now. But I'm saying, even without Saturn's intervention, it is important for us to sometimes take a pause, evaluate our life, and figure out if we are going the right way, if this is actually where we want to be. I think that's a very important process to kind of stay in tune with yourself, is to occasionally snap yourself out of autopilot, because this to me indicates that there is a mode of being that you have always kind of embodied, that you're breaking free from and choosing to follow your heart instead towards the sun. And the overarching energy being the devil versus the emperor. See, the emperor is the card of Aries in the tarot deck. It is about independence and strength and authority. And, the emperor is depicted as the divine counterpart to the empress, but he in himself is also a leader, you know? But there is a shadow side to being that way. And I was actually kind of just digging around with my archetypes deck before I did this reading. I was just randomly pulling cards, and I got the king. And it was a card that talked about how the king is, it has a shadow side of being controlling. It has a shadow side of, it can either be a good energy or a bad energy. There are two sides to that coin. A good king is someone that leads with integrity. A good king is someone that leads with their heart, someone that leads with love. A bad king is only in it for authority's sake. So it's a card that questions your motives, right? And I feel like that's what the emperor is asking here. And I say that because along with it, when I tried to clarify it, was the devil. Or no, when I tried to clarify the devil, I got the emperor. And the devil is about control. It's about being controlling. It's about being obsessive. It's about um, something that you can't quite shake. It's about an energy that is almost all consuming. So, what we are asking here is, what consumes you? What limits you? Where do you feel stuck? What occupies too much of your brain space? And is there a way that you can alleviate yourself of that chokehold that whatever this is has on you, to help you fully step into your emperor energy? So, to close this off, I am going to go ahead and also pull a couple cards from the alchemy deck, because I have been resonating with this deck hard lately, and I would like to work with it a little more than I have been. The moon, the moon is back, and breath. Okay. The moon, mystery, receptivity, intuition. The moon represents the mother of all mysteries. Once a month, it slips into the full spotlight and then quietly disappears, only to initiate the cycle again. Gifting us with the message of impermanence, the moon reminds us we are in constant transition, a continual process of letting go. It is the yin principle, one of listening rather than speaking. This card may indicate a time for rest and restoration is in order, or that a new depth of spiritual practice calls. Dreams and memories may be especially vivid. The gates to the liminal realm have been opened. The alchemist's task is to be receptive to its message. Be patient, though, as the moon speaks in the language of symbols, and deciphering its messages takes time and receptivity. Magic is afoot. Sink into it, sweet child. Practice Yoga Nidra, the subtle art of dreaming awake, to go deeper. The moon has a cooling and soothing effect on the psyche. In a reading, think of this lunar card bringing a sense of ease and stillness to the surrounding cards. Notice what stage the moon is in when you do your readings. New moon and full moon can be particularly potent times to do readings, but all the moon's phases offer a unique energy. There was something that kind of went ding in my head when I read it, but now I can't remember what it was. Ah, yes. The moon reminds us we are in constant transition, a continual process of letting go. That's another thing with the devil card being here is rigidity. Um, it's important for us to know ourselves. It's important for us to have a sense of self, but at the same time, the concept of us being purely individual and not just another blurb in the frequency that the universe is made of is an illusion. And so basically, I feel like with your spread today, mainly the devil popping up, is an indication that it's okay to let yourself be more malleable. It's okay to allow yourself to ebb and flow and change and transition. Then again, that's easy for me to say because I'm very Neptune and Uranus heavy in my chart. Um, I have Neptune and Uranus aspecting both my moon and my Mercury, and so I tend to be a little more abstract in the way I think to begin with. Um, but I know that Aries rules the head, and uh, the they're very much in their bodies, and they're very much I would almost say more kind of tangible and concrete than Taurus is, which is funny because Taurus is an earth sign. But yeah, maybe it's time to loosen your grip a little bit on stuff like that, you know. And growing is not the same as changing, and changing is not the same as growing. And we're kind of meant to be a little more changeable. Pneuma, breath, inspiration, presence, life force. There is no more direct way to practice alchemy than to study pneuma. We all have access to the mystical phenomenon known as the breath. It occurs at every moment, gracing us with the gift of existence upon the physical plane. If alchemy, as is suggested in this book, is the merging of physical and mystical, then this card serves as our ever reliant bridge. It is the magical within us, the expanding and generating life force that animates our life. This card may appear simple, but it is not. No matter how advanced you are in studying the breath, if you heed the message of this card, you will find it has more to teach. Bow to it at this very moment, and you will discover the work revitalizes itself. New space opens. Pneuma is your lifelong alchemical ally, stating its love with every inhale and exhale. Take one deep, full breath. It is no coincidence that nearly every spiritual and mystical lineage bows to the breath via observation of it, meditation, breath techniques, pranayama, or chanting or song. When the Numa card appears, it is a call to make room, to expand, and soften the approach to the work. There you go. What was I just saying? The other cards present in the reading, the other cards present in the reading may benefit from more spaciousness too. So, especially with Aries being a fire sign, I feel like fire signs in general actually benefit from a lot of breath work. I tend to have a personal rule where before I do the scary thing, I breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. 3 deep breaths, 3 long exhales, and then I go do the thing. I give myself that moment to just get my ish together. Um, and that's just something that I've always practiced. Don't know why. It really does help. With fire signs, there are opposite signs being water signs, air signs, and air being the element that kind of expands fire and helps it grow and burn hotter. I feel like fire signs especially would benefit from breath work when they need to calm down or charge themselves up to do something. Anyway, so that was your reading for today. Remember to loosen up your grip on the way that you are and open yourselves to the ways in which you can be. Open up yourselves to the ways in which you can expand beyond how you already are. And also, I don't know what that meant either, but remember the keyword lemon. All right. So I hope you enjoyed your reading, and like, share, comment to help me out with the algorithm, subscribe, and hit the notification button so that you get notified every time I post a video. Follow me on my Facebook page, White Door Tarot, and I will see you in the next one.